My number one recommendation to people preparing for the hurricane is, first and foremost, if you're taking medications, count your pills now. You want to make sure you have an adequate number of pills to get you by for at least a couple of weeks after a major hurricane. That gives you plenty of supply for those power outages, the flooding that might occur, or your doctor's office that's closed on the other side of town. You've got power, but he or she doesn't. So that creates issues, and also finding a pharmacy that's open. So we've experienced a lot of hurricanes in Florida over the years and have become very familiar with these situations. So make sure you count your pills now to have an adequate supply to get you by for a couple of weeks. At CentraCare Urgent Cares, we make a great effort to try to keep our clinics open as long as we can during the hurricane, because we know our community needs us. We know that you're going to have needs like getting a medication refilled. Your doctor's not available. We want to be able to be there for you. Also, any injuries that occur, whatever your needs are medically, we're going to have those clinics open for you. At our CentraCare Urgent Cares, historically after a hurricane, it's going to be puncture wounds, people stepping on nails, roofing nails, debris, cuts and abrasion, all those types of things that we would commonly see in an urgent care, we're going to see more of during and after a hurricane. So we are open extended hours, 12 hours a day at most of our clinics, and several clinics here in Orlando are open till midnight. So we'll be available in Orlando after the hurricane passes. Well, number one, you want to make sure you have a first aid kit. A very simple first aid kit for any of those minor injuries to get you by. But for those common injuries we see after hurricane, the cuts and the puncture wounds and the abrasions that happen during cleanup, we're going to be available at CentraCare to take care of all of those issues that may arise. All of our centers are open 12 hours a day, and we're open till midnight in 4 different clinics here through Central Florida. But we want to make sure we're available for you for anything that might arise after a hurricane. So we emphasize being safe and preventing injuries first and foremost during a hurricane. So we want to make sure that you take care of yourself, but also remember tetanus shots. All right. If you haven't had a tetanus shot in the last 10 years, you need to make sure you get your tetanus shot if you have any type of open wound or abrasion or puncture wound or laceration that occurs, because tetanus is a serious infection and it's very easy to prevent by making sure you have a tetanus shot every 10 years. After a hurricane, it's very common for people to have injuries because during the cleanup or without having power, we see burns from people with using candles for lighting. So recommend, of course, batteries and flashlights are much better than those candles, and there is a fire risk for that. We want you to be safe. Also, generators, of course, use them smartly outside the house to reduce the risk of carbon monoxide poisoning, because it will happen somewhere in our state from generators. So I want people to be smart about that. And also just general cuts and abrasions, something simple as a tetanus shot. You'll start thinking about it afterwards. When was your last tetanus shot? And your tetanus shot should be within 10 years. You should get a booster every 10 years. So if it hasn't been in 10 years that you've had a tetanus shot and you've had an injury, open wound, cut or abrasion, make sure you get into CentraCare and we can get your tetanus booster.